From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE from Santa Monica, California, with your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we go over that incredible recon that passed in a subcommittee 3 weeks ago and will now get a rubber stamp from those elected officials in just a few days. The vote and the deal has been hatched, and it was done last Friday. A deal was reached that means that a vote will be happening in just a few days, and the vote will be a rubber stamp of a recon. It will be going over the finish line. The incredible great news is that they don't particularly care what the price tag is. Why? Because they have no idea what it is, actually. In this recording, we go over the incredible programs that are in and the programs that are out. The programs going to the House bill final vote will pay you, on average, across all these incredible programs, about $15,000. This is after viewers from this channel under third stimulus got on average about $45,000. We'll be going over then to the exciting details of student loan debt forgiveness. More debt could be forgiven across the board. And then the COLA raise coming in January, but get ready for fifth stimulus right behind that. That is not one, but two lifts thereafter. We got a big broadcast. We got a big afternoon as the recon will get rubber stamped within just days in the House. It'll be passed in the House. It's a done deal, and off to the Senate we go. The only thing missing, of course, is bacon. Can they do a bacon amendment? Get on Bernie for this one. There you go. We got a big afternoon's broadcast. I'm excited. I'm really excited for you. There's a lot of money in this incredible recon, but as Bernie said, it's a good bill that could be made better, and that's before we add the bacon. This is Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day and hope the weather is good where you are. It is cool along the coast here in Santa Monica, California, where we're watching a deal that has been made in the fourth stimulus check update of 2021 with that recon. The vote will happen in just a few days. They solidified the date. They solidified the nuances. It will pass the House. Price tag, no one knows. You're not going to win the Showcase Showdown with this show. No, they don't know the price. But we're going to go over the incredible programs that are in this recon, programs that'll pay you a lot of money. On average, the viewers of this channel get at least $15,000 across all these incredible programs combined. And then we turn to the exciting details of this broadcast from Santa Monica about your student loan debt forgiveness. More debt could be forgiven with a new offer from the president. We'll have those details and more. We'll be cutting over to fifth stimulus, which comes right after fourth stimulus, and they'll raise your benefits on SSI, SSDI, and more. We got an incredible broadcast today. It is a jam-packed show. Stay with me. I'm excited you're here. And yes, we're still missing the bacon. And this is LALATE, America's most talked about financial news channel. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoon, 16 shows per day, hundreds of hours of programming per week with the most comprehensive, the most accurate, and the most in-depth coverage across the board. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers to YouTube record in 1 year, 140 million views. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Let's go right into this incredible recon. You're going to see in this recording a lot, so let me give you a roadmap of what we're covering in the recording. First, we're going to go over the recon in broad stroke. Then we're going to go over each of the programs that are in this recon broadly. Commercial break, then coming back from the commercial break. We're going to go over that deal that was reached last Friday among the House members and the voting process, and then what goes on next in the Senate. Then, at that point, you want to have your pen and paper ready because we're going to go over each of the checks that pay you on average collectively about $15,000 in this recon, one at a time, going over eligibility. If you have questions or comment, make a little note for you, and I'll be answering some of your questions you sent me since yesterday. Let's start with this incredible recon. The recon was passed in a subcommittee no less than 3 weeks ago, and now we have a final House bill. The final House bill across all these incredible clusters of checks, 3 of them, across all these incredible programs in those clusters collectively, pay you about at least $15,000. When we look at third stimulus, as soon as third stimulus became a law in January, February this year, I said to viewers, I can get you about $15,000 from third stimulus programs. I got the viewers on average $45,000. The great news is that all the incredible programs that paid viewers of this channel, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $120,000 viewers got from third stimulus programs, they're repeated back under fourth stimulus. Whoa. So you're going to get that plus the new checks as well, the new programs as well. Let's go over each of those clusters one at a time. And if I say in there or pass, it means it's in the House bill. Still can be modified on the Senate side. Then also if I say hard cold cash checks or up front, it means it's a check literally in your pocket on the front end. If it's a back end, it means you have to do something to get it. Let's go to the first cluster of checks. Here we go. Hazard pay, back end, and that is for my essential workers. One more year, the earned income tax credit. Then $4,000 of elder care, front end hard cold cash checks. Then the money to care for young children got in there as well, hard cold cash. Well, the exciting news is my college students will get hard cold cash checks of $550 for the Pell Grant. They got that in there as well. How about home repairs? If you live in a low-income community, yes, they got that in there as well. That is front end, hard cold cash checks. They got in the CTC, also front end. This is $3,600 or $3,000 for one more year based upon your income level if you're a low-income family. And then the big exciting details is that they got in there $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. Wow, this is back end. This is a lot of more money than we originally thought. There you go. The first cluster, everything passed in the subcommittee of the House is becoming passed in the House floor, and with the numbers a little bit bigger. Let's go to the first add-on, the first of three, and let's see the status of each of those, of that first add-on provision. That first add-on provision, you know what it is. It is Maxine Waters, $25,000 for the purchase price of her first home. It got in there, but not at the $25,000 price point. A little bit different. We don't know just yet. This is huge. What is this? This is hard cold cash checks for the purchase price of your first home. Whoa, this is huge. During the escrow period right before you're about to close, the federal government gives the money to the seller in your name. Wow. Stay with me later in this video. We're going to go over all these provisions. Who, where, when. I'm answering all your questions you've already sent me in the last 24 hours. That's coming up later. If you have new questions, take some notes, and I'll answer them tomorrow. Here we go to the second cluster of checks. And wow, we got more home repairs in there. So they got paid family leave and medical leave in there. This is huge. They got the household tax credit in there. They got pre-kindergarten in there. Community college did not survive. It fell out. And they got money in there to weatherize your home. Definitely need to weatherize your home. If Joe Manchin drives up with that horrible color of a Maserati, oh, weatherize the driveway quickly. There we go. So how about these checks? Well, the paid leave, family leave, hard cold cash checks up front. It's a lot. It's thousands of dollars. Stay with me later in this video. I'll go over how much money it is. The pre-kindergarten is hard cold cash checks, and the weatherize your home, it is also hard cold cash checks. Second add-on comes from Bob Case in the President of the United States. It is wonderful. It is not a front end, but likely a back end check, like a covered benefit. And boy, what is it? It is the home services for my seniors and my people on disability paid. This is the medical services for home health care. Wow. They were looking for $250 billion of this number. They got a little bit less, but they got it in there. Wow. Great job, Bob Casey. This is, again, the home health services for my seniors and people with disabilities. I've seen some of your questions overnight about this. I'll be answering them later in this video. Stay with me. Let's go to the third cluster of checks. And here we go. There is a lot of money in this third cluster. I'm going to go over each of them slowly because there's a lot here. Free school meals for all. That is hard cold cash check, $65 a month. Then prescription medication, they got it in there. That is not a check. It's a covered benefit. Immigration reform, covered benefit. Free internet, don't know. Farmers money, don't know. The worker checks, independent contractors, don't know. And the Medicare expansion. So let's go over on air about the Medicare expansion. The Medicare expansion got in there in some regards. First, they're going to do the Medicare holdout states, I'm going to detail that in the later part of this video. It's very complicated. I'll explain it to you. They have not done the dropping the Medicare eligibility age. That's coming up later in this video. But of hearing, dental, and vision, they got the hearing in there. The dental and the vision is likely to come on the Senate side. That's coming up in a second. And that's a perfect segue into the third add-on, the monthly or multiple IRS stimulus checks. There is a lot of leeway and a lot of room to add these provisions across the board. Because why? The senators all last week said that they have major work to do on this bill when you get it over the Senate. And that is why the House has passed it so quickly. The second half of this video, you're going to see why the House is just sort of sending it over to the Senate, even though it's not really done. Why? Because the senators say, I got a lot of work to do. Two opportunities for you to insert those checks. The first one is the vote-a-rama. The second one is the Senate subcommittees. Let's go over the vote-a-rama. The vote-a-rama historically has been one of the most important parts of legislative making in the United States government. It's 48 hours in the Senate, the final 2 days of a recon process. During that vote-a-rama, senators introduce changes or amendments to add in or change numbers to what was in the House legislation. They often introduce stuff the House members never even talked about. The most important example came under third stimulus early this year, when Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer looked at the bill that was passed in the House and said, you skipped the ball on one subject. The tax-free nature of student loan debt forgiveness. If student loan debts are forgiven, let's say $20,000, which eventually they were for some viewers this year, you have to pay taxes on that, nearly 40%, and bam, you have to come up with $10,000 out of your pocket to pay to IRS. You don't have it. So Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer got that incredible vision into the recon that said, you know what? By vote-a-rama, we are making the forgiveness of student loan debt tax-free. And they pass it, vote-a-rama. That shows you the importance of that vote-a-rama. Then we also have the Senate subcommittee. We have Chuck Schumer, we have Bernie, we have Ron Wyden, all collectively saying they got a lot of work to do. Well, if you have a lot of work to do, you want to hope that Bernie takes the bill when it lands in the Senate and send it to the subcommittee of the Senate Budget Committee, of which he is the chairman. Because that's at that point that they can slow it down and work through all these incredible provisions to add in there. We have Senators Casey, Coons, Ward, Sanders, Schumer, Wyden, 6 major senators, all telling viewers over the last few weeks they're going to insert at least one stimulus check into this recon when it lands in their chamber, the Senate. But you need to advocate across the board. And advocation is still needed even while we're waiting for that final House vote. Pick up that pen and paper and write down those names of those 6 senators you should be calling. Let's go over the incredible message that came in from the Chief of Staff to the number one guy in this recon. Well, here we go. We now have in total between congressional senators' offices received more contacts of advocacy from the LA Purple Power than the number of signatures of the American people. That is the power of this channel. Over 3 million of you have made the call, but you need to continue. Now they have a better understanding of what Americans are going through this pandemic than a bunch of signatures. They have amazing, touching stories. They have heartbreaking stories in the LA viewers. And they are the voice of the people in you, LALATE. As you, LALATE, have become too loud to be ignored. Very, very kind. Let's read the last sentence on air together. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy. As the professional voice of the people you have become until this becomes law. Very, very kind. As Jennifer says in all the live chats, how many times have you called senators today? Advocate, not track, not ask. Advocate, sentences, not question marks. I need it because. This is why I need it. We need at least one. We need multiple. We need this. I need it. Call as many of those senators, Casey, Coons, Warren, Sanders, Schumer, Wyden. Call 2 today, call 2 tomorrow, because your advocacy is being heard. When you're looking at this recon, the second half of this video, you are going to see that a deal has been reached in the House, but that deal does not close the door on other provisions to be added, because what they're seeing is that the senators want to add a lot of provisions. They're sending it over to the Senate. I'll explain how they reached this deal, what this deal means. It's very confusing. I'll explain in this video. The vote will be happening in just a few days. Could happen, in fact, this week, even though they're not in session. How could they still get the vote done? I'll explain the details. The price is right. No, it's not right. They have no idea what the price is. And this is good news for you because they're adding provisions in there, bringing the price tag clearly over $2 trillion at the moment. Could go over and higher. Programs in, programs out. We're going to go over the latest program rundown. Get that pen and paper ready because these programs will collectively pay you on average about $15,000. All the big money that paid you tens of thousands of dollars, under third stimulus with this channel are back, and more checks on top of that. Then we're going to go over student loan debt forgiveness. More debt could be forgiven across the board. And then we go to the exciting details of that COLA raise and fifth stimulus right behind that. We got a big second half of this video. I'm excited you are here. Stay with me. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as we go over the incredible vote and the incredible deal now reached with the House. It is huge. And I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on a big afternoon to LALATE as a deal has been reached in the recon. How does it work and what is involved are the latest details. And I'll be answering your questions about this as well. Voting is happening, and the voting could happen within just days to a week. How could it happen? I'll explain the details. The price is right. Well, no, it's not, because no one has an idea of what the price is of the recon, and they don't particularly care for purpose of the House. Why is that? I'll explain it in this video. Programs in, programs out. We'll go over the latest programs that are in this incredible recon across the board. Get that pen and paper ready, because this is where the big moolah is for you across this incredible recon. Then we turn to the incredible details of student loan debt. More debt could be forgiven across the board. We have the latest details about that as we broadcast from Santa Monica, California. And then student loan debt forgiveness goes into fifth stimulus. The heat is on, and I'm excited you're here direct from Santa Monica because a big afternoon's recording is underway, and this is LA, America's most talked about financial news channel, growing leaps and bounds because of you, your patronage, the in-depth reporting, and the accurate details across all these incredible financial instruments. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers and 140 million views in 1.5 years, a YouTube record. Like this video and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP to get that newsletter tonight. Let's go into the dramatics of what unfolded last Friday and what's going on this week. Very elaborate, very confusing for even the most advanced viewer of this channel. So let me make it basic for a new viewer who may have just found this channel today. We have two separate bodies of legislation. The first one on my left hand is called Roads and Bridges or Infrastructure. Does not concern you, not money for you. The second body of legislation is called Recon or Reconciliation or Budget Bill or Social Spending Plan. That does have your money in there. That goes by reconciliation process, which involves only Democratic votes, does not need a single Republican vote. There are two different parts of the Democratic Party that support different bodies of legislations. The progressives really love the recon, and the moderate Democrats really like the roads and bridges. So, what happened going into Friday? In Friday night, Nancy Pelosi attempted to call the vote on both of the bodies of legislation, but confronted an issue with these two fractions of the Democratic Party. And Nancy Pelosi did the thing that she is best at doing for many decades, getting agreements. And boy, was it a great deal. It is so bizarre, the deal, that it seems too good to be true, but it is true. What did she do? She had an issue, and the issue was the following. She had the progressives saying to the moderates, I'm going to block the vote on your roads and bridges unless you vote first on our recon. Guess what? Moderate Democrats said the same thing back. We're going to block the vote on your recon unless you vote first on our roads and bridges. Now, the moderate Democrats are not against the recon. They just didn't want to vote first. So what did Nancy do? In a brilliant agreement, she got the moderate Democrats, led by Gothenheimer, to come up and raise their hand and vote in the congressional record, lily vote, and then write in pen and sign in pen in face-to-face with the progressives, that those moderate Democrats will vote in favor of your recon after receiving a congressional budget report no later than the week of November 15th. Yes. Now that's a mouthful, isn't it? It is a mouthful. Let's go back over that one at a time. First, the agreement says that the moderate Democrats will vote in favor of the recon once they receive a congressional budget office report. Does that mean that they can change their opinion if they don't like the report? No. That's what's so fascinating about this language. The language specifically says you are just waiting for the congressional budget report to be issued. We won't vote in favor of the recon until it's issued, but if it's a bad report, we'll still vote in favor of it. Why? I think it's because they want to make sure that the report is sent with the bill over to the Senate. Very obvious point of view. But also the progressives and Nancy saw this coming a mile away. They're waiting for the report. They're going to vote against the recon. No. She said you'll get the report and then you'll vote in favor of the recon, despite if the report is bad. Next question is the week of November 15th, no later than the week of November 15th. So let's go over that. Does that mean they're voting on November 15th? No. Does it mean they're voting on the week of November 15th? No. It means no later than the week of November 15th. So could it be this week? Yes, it could. What are they waiting for? A Congressional Budget Office report. Who are they? The Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, is a nonpartisan agency run by the federal government. And they look at bills and they say this bill will cost $10 and it will raise the national deficit $2. That's what they do for every bill when you request it. Well, the question is, when do they request it? I've been covering this for over about 6 days. I covered it with Bob Menendez, Senator Bob Menendez, asking for this last Tuesday. So if they had requested last Tuesday, we could potentially get it this week, I believe. If that's the case, then you would have the vote this week. Now, let's step it back for a second. The House and Senate are not in session today. In session means the room in which they vote is closed. Does not mean they're in the South Pacific sipping Mai Tais at Mitch's Lobster Fest. It means they're just down the hall. The room is not open. If they get the report, then Steny Hoyer, actually, the majority leader of the Senate of the House will say, you're ordered back into session with 24 hours to vote on the recon. And they will vote. And that's how it will happen. So to which I've been telling viewers is get ready for Thursday night. Because Thursday night is always the same thing. Have you been with this channel for a few months? Then you notice every Thursday night at midnight, Nancy Pelosi votes on something. She's been doing it since a young little child. Mommy, it's Thursday night. We're going to vote on My Little Pony versus Care Bears. Honey, it's midnight. I love to vote at Thursday nights at midnight, Mom. My entire life, I will vote on Thursday nights at midnight. I don't care what we're voting on. We just vote always on Thursday nights. So she's done that time and time again over the last 2 weeks. So take a nap on Thursday because I think there's a potential she'll vote on something. And it's probably your recon of this Thursday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. Now, I had one great question coming from one viewer. Says, I think they're trying to do some game to wiggle out after the senators change something. No. Remember, the senators would vote second. So this vote is the first vote on the recon. There is not going to be a Senate vote before this. So there is no wiggle room back out of this by those moderate Democrats. Great question, though. I appreciate it across the board. So when would the vote happen? It will happen either this week or next week. But you got to look for that CBO report, which is, if you remember that particular character on this channel, Calendar Colleen, you may want to send her out to the Congressional Budget Office and knock on their door every 10 seconds, say, it's November 12th. Where is the CBO? It's November 13th. Where's this? Yeah, because you want that CBO report as fast as you can get it. Price tag? Who knows? Who knows? And this is why this deal is so strange. When the recon was debuted about 2 weeks ago in House bill format, they said 1.75. And then they added 303 provisions into the recon in the last 7 days, as I said they would. They added in their paid leave, price tag $200 billion. Well, suddenly you're not at 1.75. Now you're at 1.95. They added in their cheaper prescription medication, and they added in their salt. Those aren't free. So we know we're at a price tag of about $2 trillion plus. The president of the United States addressed the American people on Saturday morning. He again misstated the situation. He said the entire recon's paid for, not according to the Democratic-led taxation committee that said $500 billion of it is not paid for. So that is what they're looking for in the CBO report. And again, if the CBO report comes back and says something negative about it, who worries, because that vote has been solidified. Well, let's read that statement on air about the etched in blood statement from those progressives. We commit to vote in favor of the recon in its current format as quickly as receive the Congressional Budget Office report, but no later than the week of November 15th. So there you go. Well, here we are. A week ago, we started the week with 3 programs not in the recon, and me predicting all 3 would get in by the end of the week. They did. What are they? We're going to go over each of them. Get a pen and paper ready. This is where we start. These programs collectively across all these programs of this recon will pay you on average at least $15,000, but you're going to see very quickly, I'm really undervaluing it. It could be upwards of $15,000. You're going to see in a second why, but I'm saying $15,000, and that's causing a lot of chatter elsewhere. So here we go. The first provision that got into this recon that I predicted would go in there, paid leave. What is paid leave and family leave? How much does it pay? Are you eligible for it? And how does it work? First of all, this is hard cold cash checks. It is in the House bill and it will go to a House vote. Paid leave and family leave is the following. You have to stay home because of the birth of a child, or you have to stay home because of someone's illness or death in your household or yourself. Not COVID illness, just illness in general. If you look back over this last year, have you had to stay home because perhaps your son had the flu for 4 days? Maybe you had to stay home because you had to take your wife to a dental procedure. Maybe you had to stay home because you broke your leg or sprained your ankle doing a pickup basketball game on a Saturday morning. That is paid leave. How much does it pay? A fortune. And the third stimulus, it was supposed to pay $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. Split in half. $35,000 annual salary, $800 a week. Split in half. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. How many weeks? Under the bill, it would be up to 4 weeks per year. Oh my goodness. 4 times $1,700, that's $5,000, $6,000. Hard cold cash checks in your hand. Paid from the federal government to you. Wow. And on the low end, $400 times 4 weeks potentially, that is over $1,000. It's a lot of money. And here comes the best part of the news. Everyone qualifies for it. That's a worker. Nancy Pelosi got it in there for all income levels. Doesn't matter if you're high income or low income. All types of workers as well. W-2 all the way to 1099. So, Uber driver and your wife's giving birth. Yes, federal government writes you a check. Department store W-2 employee who makes 6 figures. Yes, you get this as well if your son broke his leg and you need to stay home. Everyone gets this. All income levels, all type of employee levels across the board. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Let's go to the second provision that I predicted was going to go in this recon. It is SALT. Very, very confusing provision, but I'm making it very simple. And guess what? This is what the spirit of this channel is. Information, helping people, learning. I never knew about SALT before I started making videos about the subject matter. I learned it for you because viewers said, please explain it because it is so complicated. And so here you go. Every year you file a state tax return, personal state tax return. And on that personal state tax return, you pay taxes. What are the taxes you're paying? You're paying something, potentially. And then when you pay the taxes, you can take that amount and put it on the federal tax return as a deduction. So let's say you pay $11,000 in taxes on the state tax return. You then go over to the federal tax return. Can you deduct $11,000? No, you can't. Because of the Trump 2017 tax code, it prevents the deduction of state and local taxes over $10,000. And in the states of the big states across the country that have big tax burdens, like New York and New Jersey, this was a bad provision for a lot of people. People were paying a lot in state taxes, and they wanted to be able to deduct that on the federal tax return. They couldn't. So this got in from the moderate Democrats, like Gothenheimer. It is the removing the higher cap on the SALT deduction. So what is it? Instead of $10,000, now you'll be able to deduct $72,500 on your IRS tax return of what you paid in state and local taxes. It's huge. It's incredible. All right, let's get that pen and paper ready. We're going to go over some other items in this recon. They got $40 billion of free job training in there. A lot of viewers are very excited about this. People have been asking me what type of jobs. We're going to go through this as soon as it becomes law. But I think this is biggie. You would want the biggest jobs you can get. A pilot, truck driver, as big a job as you would want to get. You would want to get that free training for those big paying six-figure jobs. Absolutely. And this is huge. Everyone could do this. Then here comes a Medicaid gap fix. It's a big win. It's a big win. Very confusing, so let me slow it down. When Obamacare was established, it was the law of the land across all the states. But the Republican-led states said, we're not going to pay for it. We will offer it to our citizens, but we're not going to pay for it because we don't like it. We're Republicans. So there are now 12 of those states, we call them the 12 holdout states, where the Republicans are the governor, and they offer it, but they don't want to pay it to the federal government. Manchin saw this as a problem. He's right, it is a problem. So he wanted to make sure that Democrat states do not have to pay for Republican states. And Raphael Warnock, the new Georgia senator, and Jim Clyburn from the Carolinas senator, did a wonderful workaround provision. This is all their blessings. They came up with a workaround program so that if you're in those 12 holdout states, you can get cheap private insurance if you're a low-income person and not be uninsured in those states for many years. Wow, that is incredible, great news. Immigration reform got in there. Immigration reform is not a check. It's not any money to any immigrant. There's a series of news reports out there from a major company out of Australia. You can guess the one. That, with the animal as the logo. And that company that ran a story that combines two different stories together to make it sound as though it's one. What's going on? Let me give you the answer. There is no money for any checks for any immigrants in either the recon or the roads and bridges. Done. So where did this strange story come from? During the Trump administration, thousands of immigrants and their families and children were separated at the border. Thousands. Of them, a few hundred filed lawsuits in federal court, a few hundred people. So we're talking about a few hundred immigrants. Of those few hundred immigrants, their lawyers have now demanded settlement offers of $400,000. It's a settlement offer. It's a settlement offer. The settlement response is no. The president of the United States said, I'm not paying you $400,000. I'll settle it, but I'm not paying you $400,000. If it is settled at whatever price it is, it's not coming out of this money. It's not, has nothing to do with this recon. Then the great news is the hominess, the homie. Hey, homie, the housing assistance. Always help your homie. The housing assistance. That is huge. $150 billion of this. Now, let's step back for a second. As soon as third stimulus became law, I said to the viewers of this channel, I can get you about $15,000 from third stimulus across the board. If you've been a viewer of this channel since early this year, you saw why I launched the Purple Hawks for people to pounce, hawk, to get this money under third stimulus before anyone else. And guess what's happened since then? There's been 1, 2, 3 rounds of rent that many viewers have gotten. Viewers got rent under second stimulus with this channel. That's how we knew how well to do this. I've been covering rent and utilities on this channel since about October 2020. It returned in the third stimulus, and guess what? It's returning under fourth stimulus. Rent, utilities, mortgage assistance is returning. The average view of this channel, including SNAP, got about $40,000 from third stimulus. If you take SNAP out of it, it's about $20,000, $30,000 a viewer. And the most viewers got 1 or 2 rounds of the rent because guess what? There was $47 billion of it, and the last $13 billion just went out from Treasury just a few weeks ago. $47 billion third stimulus. How much is fourth stimulus? $150 billion. Wow. So that is going to cover a lot of darn rent for you and utilities and mortgage assistance. You do not have to be behind on the rent. You do not have to be a certain type of person. Remember, we got those 6 places we detail on this channel. It's in the newsletter as well. You do not have to be behind on the rent. You just have to be a renter with financial burdens. Not COVID related because this is after COVID, coming out of COVID here. So here we go. Imagine All the money that got you 20, 30,000 on the third stimulus is returning back under fourth stimulus. And then we got more on top of that, which is the home repairs. If you live in a low-income community, the weatherizing your home for all types of home, and then finally the first-time home purchases. Now, of those things, that is where most of the questions are coming in. I've been telling viewers, there's one thing I love to do, I love to do, is help people. And I love to help people with the most complicated, the most fascinating, the most in-depth questions you can ask. And you've been sending them to me in private message on social media. Those are the questions. A lot of them have come in on this subject matter. For example, what type of homes? Ryan asked. He wants to buy a mobile home. Does it say only certain types of first-time homes? Don't know. That's a great question. I would presume not, but we have to look at the definition of home when we see the legislation. One viewer is either Kathy or Mary said, I was married. We together bought our first home together. I'm now divorced and single. I want to buy my first home. Is it first-time home buyer as a single home buyer? Don't know. So we have to see the definition of the word first time. Another viewer this morning sent me a message saying, is this only for low-income individuals? I do not believe it is. So we need to look and see who qualifies for it. I do not believe it is. Great questions. Then we had questions about home repairs, a lot of questions about home repairs. Remember under third stimulus and the nonprofits have been doing nominal home repairs like broken window glass. They want to make sure you're not cold, hot, or rain is coming in or water. Will they do a $35,000 roof repair? No, I've never seen that. I mean, you never know. You can try whatever you can try. They have paid for medical bills and things like that under third stimulus, the nonprofits. But a roof repair that's $20,000, $30,000, no. Does that look like fourth stimulus? It does look like fourth stimulus. If the front porch is broken or the sidewalk is broken or the roof is broken or the front door or the back door or the swing, that sounds exactly like what they're talking about for home repairs in a low-income community. Wow. Then we got in there the in-home health care for seniors. One person had a beautiful message. She already receives it, but she's had a question about the care providers. She said the care providers, do they get something as well? I saw in some of the wording that they would get a better quality of work environment. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it needs more salary or just that they better hours or better sort of benefits. So I did see language in there. Thank you for caring about them as well. We'll be watching that as well. If you bring these type of questions and I don't have the answer, we're going to revisit it as we get closer to the finish line. $550 checks for my college students. This is hard cold cash checks. This is for the Pels Grant. They got it in there. Then they got in there $12,500 for the purchase price of an electric vehicle. This is back end. So this is an electric vehicle, U.S. auto manufactured union shops. Strangely enough, I'm getting a lot of questions about this one, even though I thought it's sort of obvious. Which companies? Ford, GM, and Chrysler. So one person over the weekend sent me a message on Instagram. I want to buy a new Hyundai hybrid. Does that qualify? No, hybrid does not qualify. It's electric only. Then Hyundai, no. The U.S. auto manufacturers I defined for you. And yes, GM includes the Cadillac. So there you go. Then $65 a child for a hard cold cash check per child per month when they're not in school for food. And then when they're in school, it's a covered benefit. Okay, now we go over to the incredible great news about the cheaper prescription medication. If you are a senior, you should absolutely be ecstatic about this. Cheaper prescription medications are coming to you instantly when this becomes law. This will be an overnight savings in your bank account. I asked on viewers on Saturdays mornings, LA, tell me how much you currently pay if you're a senior on Medicare for insulin per dose. Mark's wife pays $900+. It was either Kathy or Mary who says she pays over $500, $700 a dose. It will now be $35 the next day this becomes law. Yeah, this is an instant savings in your wallet within just a few days after this becomes law. What happened here? Let's go back up and understand what's going on. When Medicare was established nearly 20 years ago, the law of the land under Medicare was, its charter agreement was, whatever big pharmaceutical companies want to charge you, you have to pay it. If they want to charge you $1,000 a dose for insulin, you have to pay it and charge Mark's wife $900. You can't negotiate the price. Every year, big pharma fought to keep that the law of the land with 15 paid lobbyists. And every year, as Bernie Sanders said, senators tried to change the law. They couldn't until 2 Wednesdays ago. If there was 2 things I would do is I would thank Joe Biden for what he did, and I would also fire his press corps. Why? 2 Wednesdays ago, Joseph Biden did what he does best, negotiate himself. He picked up the phone and called Kristen Sinema on Wednesday night after she had really blocked this for months. And he said, Kristen, come on board. You got to come on board. You got to do this. This is critical. And she said yes to the president one-on-one. The biggest win, and she blessed the whole recon going forward, the biggest win of the entire recon, and no one heard it. Why? Because his press corps covered Rome climate. No, you don't cover Rome climate, which is stuff that impacts people 3 years from now. You covered this because this is people's pocketbook tomorrow morning after it becomes law, whenever it becomes law in the next few days, next few weeks. This was huge and no one heard about. So let's go over the calculations. By year 2028, 30 prescription medications will be very cheap. Immediately after this becomes law, about 20 prescription medications will go into good faith negotiations and instantly between Medicare and Big Pharma. And this is the most expensive of the medication, the $100 or $1,000 prescriptions, not the $10 flu pill. So this is cancer, arthritis, and diabetes, Medicare B and D, and similar things like that. Ron Wyden says, for the first time, government no longer have its hands tied behind its back. Chuck Schumer, got to hug him on this one. He says, we did it, and we're going to do it more next year. Yes, Chuck. What is he talking about? It's sort of the first bite of the apple. He wants to take a bigger bite of it next week, next year, figuratively and also, literally, because he's from New York, because he wants to do it better next year. He will do it better. Scott Peters, Democrat, California, says it's really good for seniors. And then Jan Skakowski says she's shocked they got it done despite all the incredible lobbyist efforts across the board. We are flying. So let's go to the next thing you need to know, which is 2 bodies of legislation may fall out this week from the recon. And what are they? Well, those 2 bodies of provisions are paid leave and immigration reform. The Senate parliamentarian could rule as early as this week that these 2 provisions do not belong by recon. Who's a Senate parliamentarian? She's a government official. She's not partisan. Lifetime government official. She looks at what you have in a recon bill and she says, this cannot, by the rules of the Senate, go by recon. You must take it out. So if it comes out, the money does not come out, just the program. Immigration reform, I think it's coming out. She previously said it doesn't belong in there. Paid leave, they say it could be on the chopping block. I don't know. I have no opinion about it. It's 50-50 what I'm hearing across the board. So what do we look to next? Well, the senators have a lot of changes they want to make to this recon, and we have the credible comments across the board from all the senators involved saying, I have a lot of changes I need to make. Bernie Sanders said over a week ago that there are major gaps in this recon, even though it's the best bill since the 60s. Those gaps are still there for Bernie Sanders. When asked if he's going to add provisions in there, absolutely, because it's not doable with these provisions missing. And we have Ron Wyden saying it's not done until the Senate acts, and that there's a significant amount of work to be done. Senators Chris Coons, Chuck Schumer, Chris Murphy, and then some House members all say the senators are going to be making changes abound. All right, get that pen and paper ready. Time to go over some more programs in and more programs out, starting right now. Here we go. Programs in and programs out. Pre-kindergarten, 1 year. This is hard cold cash checks for 3 to 4 year olds. Then the CTC, 1 more year. My notes show it at $60,000 annual salary head of household. Here it shows the total household $150,000. I don't know which one it is. Then the home health care services for my seniors and people on disabilities. The earned income tax credit for 1 more year. The hearing services may be a voucher, a hard cold cash check, or maybe otherwise a covered benefit. Then the big money for those home repairs, $150 billion of it. And that is hard cold cash checks for the repairs, for the rent, the utilities and mortgages, and the first-time home buyers. $65 a month for the child for meals when they're not in school. $550 checks to the college students on the Pell Grant. So what provisions would be going in there on the Senate side that are not in there on the House side? Obviously, dental and hearing, and potentially that MSC IRS stimulus check. Bernie Sanders says any negotiations must have a dental and vision. And when asked whether he had add provisions, he said, absolutely. Let's go over the calculations of what that is. Both of them were checks, hard cold cash checks, when they were last in the House bill, now removed. First, the dental. Last was at a $850 yearly check in the mail as a voucher. What is dental? Dental care for my seniors on Medicare. Bernie originally wanted 10 years full coverage. Then he wanted 3 years full coverage. Now it's not even in there. Last was at $850 checks. I think Bernie is going to make this a line in the sand. I think it will go in there. But the vision is the cheapest when you look at dental, vision, and hearing. And Bernie wants an eye exam and a pair of glasses per year. What's so difficult about that one? That is easy. Eye exam, $50, for example. Eyeglasses, $100, for example. $150 checks in the mail every year to seniors on disability, on Medicare. Here you go. Go get some eyeglasses each year, brand new. Very easy. I think it's going in there. Finally, let's go back over my notes. Child tax credit. I show $60,000 or less per year. Then we have in-home healthcare, 100, 200, $1 billion. It's great. They got it so high on that number. Housing, 175. Health insurance for a few more weeks. Clean energy out, of course, across the board. Let's cut over to student loan debt forgiveness for just a second before my commentary. Student loan debt forgiveness, more debt could be forgiven with $10,000. The president offered $10,000 of student loan to be forgiven on top of the existing debts forgiven for people who are disabled, for people who went to work in the nonprofit sector, and people who went to work in the public sector 10 years after graduation. The Democrats should take it. Then, fifth stimulus coming on right behind the border, right behind a fourth stimulus. Fifth stimulus would raise your benefits up 2 more times and remove 3 benchmarks. First, your benefits are going up 5.9% next year. Have you gotten the letter? Don't worry, they are. Starting January 1st, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Veterans Benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. Under fifth stimulus, they'd raise your benefits up 1 more time. That's the second time. And then next December 2022, they'd apply a new benchmark, inflation, which according to Jay Powell, confirming my reporting, will be somewhere between 1 to 3% next year. Looks like it'll be 2 or 3. That means you'll get 1, 2, 3 steps up in 1 year. Wow. 5.9, then potentially 3%, and potentially another 3 or 4% on top of that. It's incredible. They're going to remove the asset cap, remove the income cap, and remove the marriage penalty. Finally, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The link is under the video. Become a member today and get that newsletter. People on the outside who don't watch this channel are amazed by your success stories because you have taken the time since January of 2020, almost really maybe back in October. In October of last year, about this time last year, I said I can get you money for rent, utilities, and food and internet. That was what we called purple on this channel under second stimulus. But when third stimulus made it a law, there was a lot more of it. And I launched Purple Hawks now every day at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via this channel, written by me and sent via the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, the only news alert system of its kind in the country. I sent out the newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. that features all the big money you can get under third stimulus, that has additional rounds. If you've had 1 or 2 rounds of money, go get more rounds across the board. Margaret got some more rounds a few days ago. Mark got a few more rounds a few days ago. People are seeing that if they got money from this channel in the month of July, they can go back and get another round. And as we go into fourth stimulus, it's going to be the same situation. Fourth stimulus brings back all those same programs that you have gotten on average about $40,000 across this channel, and then adds more checks on top of that. It's a lot of checks. And as soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get all this incredible money. But here comes my final commentary as we go into the final minutes of this video. With all that additional sums of money, it's a lot of it. And I'm going to show you how to get those monies when they become law. But let's go over 3 words that are often common across the landscape of social media. Promise, predicted, and said. Promised is often a misused word. Promised is not always the same to same people. When a legislator says, like Jalapa, I'm going to not vote in favor of the roads and bridges until the recon is called for a vote first, that's what she wants to do at that moment. But when she's confronted by Gothenheimer, the moderate Democrats, who says, I'm not going to let you do it, she can't do it. It's not that she doesn't want to do it. It's not that she has something bad in her soul. It means she can't do it because he is not allowing her to do it. In 2020, Nancy Pelosi introduced the HEROES Act that had a lot of money in it, and I covered it on this channel for months. It went over to the Senate. controlled by the Republicans and the leader, Mitch McConnell, in summer 2020. He got Nancy Pelosi's bill, the HEROES Act that had hazard pay in there, $10,000, and threw in the wastebasket. Did she promise to pay you this money? No. Did she attempt to give you this money? Yes. And what caused the problem? Mitch McConnell. Which brings us to the next word, predicted. Well, there's a lot of things we can predict. We can predict maybe the CBO report will be released this week. Maybe it won't. But then there's the last word, said. When you look at the landscape of where we are right now, the House will pass this body of legislation a few days from now. It then lands in the Senate. Potentially a senator could take a provision out. Doesn't mean that something was wrong with the House doing it. It's just that senator wanted to take the provision out. Over on the Senate side, we have 6 senators who have told thousands of viewers over many weeks they want to insert at least one stimulus check in there. We have Senators Casey, Coons, Warren, Sanders, Schumer, Wyden. 6 of them have said they want to do it. But the landscape is, as you know, because the number of senators, Republican versus Democrat, it only takes one Senate Democrat to say no to those 6 that want to say yes for you. And so if that does happen and you don't get a particular provision that you want, doesn't mean that those 6 people did not care for you. Doesn't mean that they didn't try their best for you. Didn't mean that they didn't wish to give it to you. It means that that one person didn't. It doesn't mean that when I cover on this channel what 6 people wanted to say and do and did say they wanted to do for you, doesn't mean it didn't happen. It means that this one person said, no, it didn't want to do it for you. This will be very similar to 2020. We will see certain things happen that may not be exactly the duration. We may see where votes will be different. We may see where paid leave may come out. We may see where paid leave may be increased. Things change. And that is not your doing, not my doing. It is the doing of legislators. We have over 100 plus Democratic House members and dozens of Democratic senators. They don't always agree. And if they don't agree, you don't always get exactly what one wanted to give you. If 1 or 6 people wanted to give you and one didn't want to give you, it potentially may not give you that item. That is what we need to know going forward. It's a good bill, and a good bill could be made better. But just like in 2020, when Nancy Pelosi tried to deliver something to the Senate, and Mitch McConnell said, no, I'm not delivering it, the HEROES Act never became law, and none of those provisions of the HEROES Act ever happened. This time around, it's a little bit different because Mitch is not in control. Chuck Schumer's in control. But not every senator always agrees on everything. And so we will continue to advocate across the board. And we will continue to try to make a good bill better. A bill that already pays you thousands of dollars across all these incredible programs. And when they become law, I'm going to show you how. Continue to send me those great messages on private message on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. What about this type of house? What type of car? What type of caregiver? I love those questions. And for the person who wants to send me a question like, do they have anything for fixing my tires on my car? No, if I don't cover it, it's not in there yet. Now you can advocate for it, but it's not in there yet. Do they have anything in there for new flowers on a production set? They do not have that in there yet. So you can advocate for it. I'm not. I'm perfectly fine with these. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Join me next with Overnight's Crypto, currently playing on this channel next. And then Evenings LA at 5 p.m. tonight. It's going to be a big show, brand new across the board. Like this video and consider becoming a member to get that newsletter tonight. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and stay with LA for more.